Hello and welcome to this webinar about R and RStudio. What I'm going to do here is not to tell you how to use R in general. I wouldn't know how to do that in 5 minutes anyway. Instead, I'm assuming you already know how to use R on your own laptop or such, and I'm going to show how to do the same on CSC servers called Taito and Taito Shell. There are basically two distinct themes here that I'm going to talk about, which are interactive use and batch jobs. And these roughly go together with the servers such that you do interactive work with RStudio on Taito Shell and batch jobs with Slurm scripts and basic R or not RStudio on Taito. And I'm going to start with the interactive use because I think that's probably more familiar to everyone. But to do that, I need to use this NoMachine remote desktop. And the NoMachine thing could actually use a webinar of its own. Probably actually there will be one, I think. It was at least suggested. So I'm not going to go into the details about it now. I just want to point out that we have this rather detailed guide on how to start using it on our web pages. Let me copy the address to the chat box so that you can easily access it. There we go. So here, this will go step by step on how to bring up a connection and how to create the key and so on that you need for it. Anyway, once you've done that, I'm going to, well, naturally I've done it before, so I'm going to start it here, clicking around a bit, giving my password. I can't type and speak at the same time, obviously. If it's the first time that you're using it, you're going to end up with this sea of blackness here. So that's all you're getting on the first time. When you get here, you right-click anywhere in this sea of blackness with your mouse, and you get this small menu up. And to start RStudio, you go to quite simply to Applications. You choose the only option here, Taito Shell, and then under Mathematics, which is maybe a bit confusing or wrong term. Anyway, under Mathematics, you find RStudio here, so you click on that. Again, we type our password. And we wait a bit. We get some actually two new windows. The first one is here, giving the same kind of welcoming messages that you would get if you were doing this by hand, and actually just a little bit of error messages that you can quite safely ignore at this point. So this is the interesting window. If you've used RStudio before, this should look rather familiar to you. And even if you have not, if you have used only the default or the basic R user interface, then this part here called console should look familiar to you. It's the same old welcoming R console that you get used to using. So you could start typing code here. I'm going to do something very simple and stupid, like creating a couple of random numbers. They are here. I could go ahead and plot them, and they would appear here. Now, I can't recommend RStudio well enough. It's really a great thing. I heartily recommend that you start using it if you haven't been using it before, and of course keep using it if you have. So obviously, when you're doing something more serious than just showing how to do stuff, you're probably going to use these R code scripts, and these you can create and open and edit here. So this thing that I was just doing, actually this one here, I can type here and then run these from this window, and they will be run again and show up here in the console. So if you have used RStudio before, this is where you know how to go on. So you can pick from here and go on. If you haven't, then you can still start from here, learning all the cool stuff while you go. It's really quite simple to use if you are used to R itself in general. Okay, so that was it. So as a rehearse, what I did was I right-clicked here, chose Applications, Title Shell, Mathematics, RStudio, and after a moment of wait and typing in your password, RStudio came up, and then you can start using it. And NoMachine is such a nice thing that after you've had your day of nice R coding, you don't even have to close the actual RStudio session. You just close the NoMachine thing, and you can come back the next day even on a different computer if you want. You just start the NoMachine connection again, and your RStudio will be waiting for you there. And you can start. You can continue, or you can see what happened during the night when you left something very long to run, or whatever you're used to doing. Okay. So then, the other thing that I wanted to show you is how to run these batch jobs. So these are more suitable to kind of heavy-duty calculations, and the idea is that instead of writing and executing your code as you go and seeing what comes up, so instead of that, you write your R code from start to finish, and then you send it to the server, or in this case Taito specifically, with a kind of note attached saying, please run this when you have time. And this is also probably easiest to show through an example. This, what I'm about to do, does not exactly require you to use NoMachine. You could also start an ordinary SSH connection with PuTTY or whatever you use, creating a connection to Taito directly. But since I already have this running, I find this another rather nice way to do it. So let's start from the beginning. So now, instead of choosing this applications part, I choose CSC local servers, and then I choose Taito, and I get this window. So this is exactly like you would get when you start an SSH connection. So once again, I need to type my password. There we go. I get a bit of welcoming messages again. This shouldn't take too long. Actually, it's already taking many seconds longer than usually. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I said that you need to have your code written, so I am going to my folder of this text is probably very tiny for you. I'm going to switch to the RStudio again very soon. Anyway, this is my folder of small examples and tests. So I'm just showing you here that they exist here, but then I'm opening them here in RStudio. So going to the same place, and here are all my files. So I'm going to run this MPI apply test. So here is the code that I want to run. I've written it before. What this code does isn't exactly important here. It's just a test to see if I actually can use several processors at the same time. But if that's interesting to you, that's also an example of that. Okay, so this is the code. And with that, I said that you need to come up with the note attached. And this is what we call a Slurm script file. So this is the thing that says, please run this code. That happens here in the last line. And there are some other things telling I want 15 minutes. It's going to need 4 processors and stuff like that. Again, I'm not going into details. There are also guides for this. But okay, here are these 2 files. And actually, don't be tempted by this run script thing here. So RStudio is smart enough to realize that you have a shell script open. So it's suggesting that, hey, I could run this for you already, but don't do that. You actually have to do something quite specific with that, which is looking like this. Again, I'm sorry about the size of the font. Anyway, what I'm typing here is sbatch and then this mpi apply batch.sh. Pressing enter, what I get here is that it seems that not much happened. It's just telling me that submitted batch job number something. And after a moment, so okay, I asked, so what is going on with my jobs here? So what we see here is that at the moment there are some jobs completed, which I tried earlier today. And this one, if you look carefully, you notice that this number that we saw here is appearing here. So it's telling me that this job is pending. It's now queued. It's waiting for to be run. Actually, it shouldn't take very long to run. I'm going to check again. Well, it's still queuing. But for this is why I ran it earlier, so I can actually show you what comes out. So here you can see that I'm telling in this script that whatever comes out, please put them in this file. I'm going to call output.txt. And here we have it. So since you need to load the module for R, which is actually happening here, module load R environment, you get the message that you get from that first. Then there are these lines telling me that I've got all these 4 processors running, and then the results are results from my timing of this sorting thing are here. So again, what actually comes out of this is not important in this example, just that something comes. Now meanwhile, I kinda guess that this has happened already. So yeah, now it's completed. The time is now 14 past, so if I go here and I refresh this, and we see that this output file was just a minute ago finished. So, well, okay. I'm pretty sure the numbers are quite the same as before, not exactly, but anyway. So here is the new result from this, from running this script. Okay, so that's it. Also a rehearsal of what happened. I started a shell window here, and I used this command sbatch to run this Slurm script, which included this line of running this R code. So what happened, after a moment of queuing, the R code was run, and since it's just a small job, it ended in a few seconds, and then we had the output. So this is the non-interactive use, which we call batch jobs. So the idea is that you are not going to watch it happening. You just tell that, okay, please run this, and then you go to, I don't know, lunch, coffee, or even sleep, maybe even for several days if you have a really long job to do, and then finally when it's done, you get your results back. So so these were the 2 themes that I wanted to talk about today. So that's the end of the presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. There are examples of R-specific codes here on the documentation page of R on our website. I'm also going to paste this address there. So the ones that I used here are quite similar, quite exactly almost the same as these here. Probably because I never write these myself, I always copy them from somewhere.